Who doesn't love a good scare? There's nothing like getting your adrenaline pumping because of a jump scare, you adrenaline junkies.
Get them out! Please! You got you!
Luckily for us, there are a lot of video games out there that will help you get your much-needed dose of nightmares. It's not like you needed to sleep anyways, right? Welcome to Daily Graham. I'm Adrian, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 horror games that will keep you up at night. Let's get started. For this list, we'll be taking a look at some of the scariest horror games that are sure to be nothing but nightmare fuel, while also being a fun gaming experience, of course. We got zombies, aliens, and this thing. So turn off the lights and put on your headphones. It's time to play some horror games. Number 10, Outlast.
Little pig.
How far would you go to uncover the truth? In this survival horror game, you play as Miles Upshur, an investigative journalist who decides to investigate a remote mental asylum and finds out that he bit off more than he can chew. With nothing but a camcorder, you run, hide, and micromanage your resources while trying to remain alive and outlast the insane patients out to get you.
God damn it!
The game preys on our natural fear of the dark and being chased by, well, homicidal maniacs.
Little pig. No more escape.
Filled with tons of jump scares and intense chase scenes, this game will keep you on the edge of your seat.
You take chase here, buddy.
Number 9, The Forest. We all have that fear of being stranded alone in the middle of nowhere, with nothing but our wits and whatever we can find around us. Not to mention the possibility of running into wild animals and cannibal mutants. The Forest puts you in the shoes of Eric LeBlanc as he searches for his son after their plane crashes in a remote area. The game features a non-linear plot that allows you to make your own decisions on how you could survive. It perfectly blends the open-world survival gameplay with horror, and the adaptive AI makes these monstrous mutants all the more unsettling. If you like crafting resources while hacking and slashing cannibals with your friends, this is a game you wouldn't want to miss. Number 8, Little Nightmares. Don't let the Ghibli-ish aesthetics fool you. This next entry is a heart-stopping, deadly game of hide-and-seek that will give you an unsettling fear of being caught. In this puzzle platformer, the players will guide Six, a little girl in a yellow raincoat, while trapped in a mysterious ocean facility called the Maw. Six needs to outsmart traps and death hazards, all in the pursuit of her freedom. Little Nightmare is more than just your average platform game, with clever puzzles, stunning visual storytelling, and creepy sound effects that perfectly match the whole surreal atmosphere. This dark and unnerving game grips you into its own world, so you can expect that it won't let go until the very end. Number 7, Adam Lost Memories.
From the disturbing reality.
Child abuse is one of the most understated social issues of today. Its negative effects can cause trauma and anxiety that carries over to adulthood. That experience is what developer Adam Dubai wants us to feel in this psychological horror game.
There I could hide. Hide after they mistreated me for nothing.
You play as a stand-in for Adam, as you relive the horrors he experienced while growing up with a family that's falling apart. The game itself does not rely on jump scares, but it makes up for it with an overall eerie atmosphere. Adam Lost Memories has a very personal story about the developer's very own experiences and trauma and how he copes with it. The confined setting and the tension-filled puzzles make this a unique and chilling experience. If you like thought-provoking games, then this is an excellent indie horror title for you.
but nothing stopped the pain.
Number 6. The Evil Within. What is it with horror games and mental hospitals? We don't know, but it sure makes for a truly compelling setting. You play as Detective Sebastian Castellanos as you navigate the nightmarish hellscape of Beacon Mental Hospital. This tightly paced game will have you constantly worried and looking over your shoulder due to the limited resources that you have. It has amazing creature designs, some of which are the most horrifying things you've ever laid your eyes on. You'll be playing the game with the feeling of your heart in your throat the entire time. Trust me when I say that The Evil Within puts the horror in survival horror. Number 5. Resident Evil 2.
Don't shoot! Get down!
2019. Resident Evil 2 is a staple of the survival horror genre, with many critics claiming that it's one of the best of its time. Which is why when news of a modern remake was announced, we were nothing short of excited. The game starts with Claire Redfield finding herself in Raccoon City, where the T-virus has already spread. While there, she meets rookie cop Leon Kennedy on his first day on the job. How lucky. You can play as either or, as both offer a different perspective to the game. You spend the game exploring dark hallways, solving puzzles, and fighting off zombies and grotesque monsters as you attempt to flee the city.
Go on ahead! I'll meet you at the station!
Capcom has done an amazing job resurrecting this classic horror game, delivering one of the best games for horror fanatics for sure. I mean, what kind of psycho thought it would be a good idea to restrict a character's movements as they aim their gun to kill a zombie? Resident Evil 2 is not only an outstanding remake, but also an effective horror game that will leave you more than satisfied.
You need help.
Why?
He's right behind you.
Number 4. Alien Isolation. Fear may be subjective, but we can all agree that we are all terrified of the xenomorphs. Based on the classic sci-fi horror film, this is quite possibly the scariest and most faithful video game adaptation of all time. Set right after the original Alien movie, you play as Amanda Ripley, as she struggles to survive while being relentlessly hunted by a xenomorph. Claustrophobic set pieces and impressive sound design, you'll find yourself screaming for help with every horrifying encounter. But as we all know, in space, no one can hear you scream. Number 3. Silent Hill 2.
I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
When you say nightmare fuel and video games together, you can't help but think of the Silent Hill franchise. This game created a new level of fear for gamers everywhere. Even 2 decades after its initial release, Silent Hill 2 is still one of the most psychologically taxing games ever made. While it moved away from the action-packed combat horror games that were popular during its time, its slower pace works wonders in its favor, allowing us to simmer in its mind-bending horror.
Is it dead? What the hell is it?
In this game, you're playing as James Sunderland, who's looking for his presumably dead wife in the rural town of Silent Hill. The game leads you down a rabbit hole of madness, filled with the most disturbing imagery you'll ever see. You won't be able to shake the lingering feeling that there's something awful lurking in the dark corners of this small town.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill.
Number 2. Blair Witch.
The hell? This wasn't here a minute ago, right, buddy?
Another movie tie-in video game, Blair Witch is an immensely terrifying experience. We're not even exaggerating. Its fairly simple premise of being lost in the woods feeds off our primal human fear of the unknown. The story of the game takes place 2 years after the original film, when Ellis Lynch, a former police officer, joins a search party to look for a missing boy. The game impressively builds suspense, making you feel like you're being watched the entire time.
What? How? Jesus Christ! What the fuck just happened?
Every suspicious sound you hear while traveling the woods at night is enough to send chills down your spine. This harrowing game is best left alone if you don't have the stomach for something truly frightening.
Yes, sir.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions that are also guaranteed to scare your pants off. Dead Space. Alan Wake.
Carl Stuckey. Pleased to meet you. Non-refundable reservation deposit required.
Soma. Number 1. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I know, we're kind of cheating a bit by adding another Resident Evil game, but that should tell you how good we think it is. After the disappointing RE6, it seems like the franchise was on its last legs. Then came Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and let me tell you, this game isn't for the faint of heart. Where do we begin? Biohazard came crashing through the gate and never held anything back. Inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game returned to its classic horror roots. This game capitalized on your feeling of helplessness by having you play as Ethan Winters, who is an everyday civilian with no experience in hunting crazed hillbillies. He investigates the Baker family's mansion in search of his missing wife, Mia.
Where do you think you're going? Ethan, please help me. Ethan, help me.
The game revitalized the whole series with its horrifying visuals and spooky sound effects, giving you endless jump scares and even more endless nightmares. This is also the only Resident Evil game to have a first-person perspective. As if pissing your pants in third person wasn't enough, right?
Why does everyone hate me?
And that concludes our take for the top 10 horror games that will keep you up at night. Do you agree with our picks? What other games would you suggest for our next list? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so that you can keep up with our latest videos.